The glamorous life of a potions witch. It's not quite as I pictured it.
Well, what do we have here?
Hi, I'm Sylvia. What can I do for you?
Oh, did you mistake me for a customer? That's adorable. I'm not a customer. My name is Roxanne, and I'm a potion maker of some renown around here. You know, I suppose that makes us rivals.
What?
Oh, don't look so alarmed. I'm not here to sabotage you. And if I were, well, it appears someone else beat me to it. But I'm simply here to wish you luck, dear. After all, just because we're rivals doesn't mean we have to be enemies.
Really? Wow, that's a huge relief, actually. I'm new here, and I could use a little friendly advice.
Absolutely. Start with hot soapy water and a vigorous scrubbing.
What? No, I want to ask about the big competition that's coming up.
Ah, yes. What a day that will be. I can see it now. The adoring masses, the cries of adulation, the huge pile of gold soiled with the tears and viscera of my fallen opponent. I suppose I'll have to rinse it off before I spend it.
Oh.
So, will I see you there? Cheering me on from the stands, perhaps?
Actually, I'm planning on competing too.
What a positively charming idea. Please disregard all that nonsense about me getting little pieces of you all over the winnings. How silly.
Oh, good. I thought...
No, I'll take great care to eviscerate you before you get anywhere near that gold.
Wow, so much for making new friends.
Oh, honey, I said we weren't enemies. I never said we were friends.
Well, she went from good luck to I'm going to enjoy disemboweling you awfully fast.
She was right about one thing. Rafta's economy thrives on competition. We don't want to be the only potion shop in town.
Right. Just the best one.
Let's start with not the worst and work our way up from there.
Would it be weird to have ramen for breakfast?
There she is!
Where else would I be?
The way I've heard it, all over town. I have to admit, I'm impressed with what you've accomplished. Still on track to enter that competition, are you? I had my doubts, but you've proven me wrong.
Well, thanks. That's big of you to admit.
Oh, nonsense. It's obvious to anyone how hard you're working. The bags under your eyes tell the tale. I know you're busy, dear, but there's always time for a bit of self-care.
What?
That came out wrong. Forgive me. I only mean to say you look utterly haggard.
I know what you're doing, Roxanne, but it isn't going to work. And if anything's haggard around here, it's your mean girl routine.
Well, I certainly don't have to stand here and be insulted. I have work to do, and it just so happens that I'm in the business of putting you out of business.
I can scarcely believe how fast the week has gone. You're prepared for tomorrow's challenges?
Yes, I'm ready to show this town what I've got.
I certainly won't be betting against you.
I see you haven't burnt the place down yet. Pity.
Roxanne, welcome back to my humble shop.
You don't need to wheel out the folksy charm for me, dear. I know where we stand.
Do you? Because I've never really been sure.
It's always the same with you. The false humility, the feigned politeness. While all this time you've been poaching my customers.
That's not how I see it. I'd like to think this town, this market, is big enough for the both of us. If your business is suffering, maybe it's because there's less to your potions than meets the eye.
I don't know what you think you're implying. My potions are completely legitimate. And even if you'd somehow figured out that they weren't, who would believe your sour belly aching over my natural charms?
I don't need to win a popularity contest. I just need to show everybody the truth. I'm the better potion maker and the better negotiator.
Then it's a contest of substance versus style. I know which side I'd bet on. Get some sleep, Sylvia. Tomorrow, we tango. And I've got moves like you've never seen before.
Ooh, the nerve of that woman! Don't let her get under your skin. Whatever she has planned for tomorrow, you are equal to it.
Thanks, Owl. I hope you're right.
I am right, I'm sure of it. Now, get some rest, for tomorrow will be a day unlike any other.
Come one, come all, and welcome to Rafta's inaugural market competition! Two fine competitors stand before us this day, but only one can triumph. First up is a woman who does not have time for your nonsense. Hailing from, and I quote, someplace very hot. She is known for making potions of tremendous beauty. Give it up for the beguiling, the sophisticated Roxanne!
I'd hate to be in your shoes right now, Sylvia. I mean, I wouldn't want to be mistaken for a clown.
Our next competitor is new to Rafta, but she's already made quite an impression. A recent college graduate, what she lacks in experience, she makes up for with luck. Customer subscriber is doing the best she can, probably, and in my price range. Let's give a warm Rafta welcome to Sylvia!
Hey, Roxanne. You're a fraud. And your phony potions aren't worth the bottles you put them in.
Maybe. But the trouncing you're about to get? That's the real deal.
I think that's our cue. Places, everyone!
We'll take our places, all right. Sylvia's place is right here, beneath my fashionable boots.
And we're off!
Have you ever seen such a beauty?
It's certainly alluring, but how effective is it?
I assure you, this is one potion you can judge by appearances.
In that case, it's a treasure. I'll value it at...
You flatterer.
Now let's hear from contestant number 2.
One potion coming up.
You're not off to a great start. We were looking for a health potion. Sylvia forfeits. This round goes to Roxanne.
Ugh, how embarrassing.
You're making me look good. Not that I need the help.
Let's hope round 2 is a bit more of a contest.
Roxanne, what do you have for us?
What? This old thing? Why, it's just a gorgeous little potion.
I'll agree it's easy on the eyes. But how well does it work?
Oh, it does all the standard potion stuff. Plus, it whitens your teeth, strengthens your nails, and makes you popular at parties.
Does it now? Sounds awfully impressive. Let's value it at...
I accept all major forms of payment.
Think you can beat it, Sylvia?
I've got a winner here.
Looks like a fire tonic to me. The color and clarity look just right. That's a quality submission. I'd say it's worth... Did you have something to add?
Do I need to rethink my strategy? I'm ready to win you over and win the round!
It's looking like a comeback. Sylvia takes the round.
All right, I'm still in this thing.
Why, you sloppy little upstart! You have no idea who you're messing with, but I'll show you. I'll show everyone! I am sick to death of dimming my flame! That's much better.
Wow! Did anyone see that coming? We don't normally get this sort of excitement in the lower circuits, folks.
I'm done holding back. So, why don't we try that again?
You certainly have my full attention now, Roxanne.
That's as it should be. But do spare a sliver of your regard for my concoction here.
We asked for a mana potion, and you delivered.
And as a magical being, I can guarantee this one is positively oozing with supernatural vigor. You won't find that in the bargain bin.
I should say not. I'm going to price this one at...
I can live with that. Not sure Sylvia can.
Sylvia, are you feeling the pressure?
I've got faith in this potion.
A mana potion. Excellent. This is precisely what we were looking for. Saving the best for last, I see. Sylvia, you're the winner. By a landslide.
Yes! Eat it!
Oh, this is absurd! I demand a recount! Well, I suppose the cat's out of the bag. There's no taking that back. And it's just as well. That false form was beginning to feel so stuffy. Sometimes a demon needs to stretch her tail a bit.
I don't understand. Why pretend to be something you're not?
First rule of business, image is everything. People see all this diabolical fabulousness, and they make assumptions. I decided it would be easier to sell them on the idea I'm an average, everyday potion which, if I looked the part, now that the dullards have gotten wise, so to speak, I have no choice but to pull up stakes and move on.
I didn't mean to put you out of business.
Don't give yourself too much credit, dear. My shop's been on borrowed time from the start.
Maybe I could help you somehow?
Oh, Sylvia, envy me, emulate me, desire me, but never pity me. Don't you dare.
Okay, that was stressful. If only I had a huge sum of money to take my mind off it. Oh, that's right! I totally do! And then Roxanne said something snarky and just sort of swaggered away. I could swear she actually swaggers more when she loses.
At a glance, you'll notice... Wait a minute. Who scribbled on this? Huh, is that supposed to be Roxanne's face? Oh, that's very mature.
Did I forget to look up again?
Well, if it isn't the champion of Rafta.
Roxanne? What are you doing here? Take the owl, not me.
I have to say, winning that competition doesn't seem to have turned things around much. If this is the state of things after a victory, One has to wonder what rock bottom would look like.
Are you serious right now with the insults? How many times do I have to beat you before you finally lose the ego?
You think keeping my chin up in the face of adversity is a flaw? Darling, it's my greatest strength. Well, second greatest. And so you know, I've lost more than you realize. Letting my mask drop felt exhilarating in the moment, but I'm paying the price for it now. Therefore, after great deliberation, I've decided to take you up on your offer.
My offer?
Of help, yes.
Oh, right. You want like a discount or...
What I need, for the time being, is a place to stay. And I noticed your basement is going unused.
I have a basement?
Oh, didn't you know? There's a trapdoor beneath the rug over there. You must have noticed the creaky, uneven floorboards.
I chalked it up to shoddy workmanship. That didn't feel like much of a stretch. Psst, Owl, you didn't think to mention that we have a basement?
Your uncle was expanding, but the workers quit when they struck lava. So it isn't finished. Also, as mentioned, there's lava. And anyway, I've had other things on my mind.
I can't believe it. A whole basement. And to think, I've been sleeping on an old chair.
I doubt the space would serve you as a bedroom. It's gloomy down there and quite hot. Not very comfortable for humans, but it suits me perfectly.
Knock yourself out. I obviously wasn't using it.
That's marvelous news, particularly since I've already moved in. You're quite a heavy sleeper, you know. But I'll make it worthwhile for you. I know you've been trolling town for haggling tips. Have you tried a bit of sleight of hand? It's all about drawing the eye to what you want them to see.
I'll admit, that's not a bad technique.
I'll be putting it to use soon. I've no time to lick my wounds and no desire to dwell on my defeat. My potions racket may have gone belly up, but I've got a new venture. One that will make use of my honest talents.
Which talents? Your magnetic personality?
And here I thought you were somehow immune to my charms. I meant enchanting, actually. It's the process of using magic to confound and delight the senses. With my abilities, even a drab, everyday potion can be elevated into something extraordinary. I can make it taste sweeter, sound better, look more enticing. You can see how that might come in handy, hmm?
Yeah, that could be the edge I need.
Come down and see me sometime, and I'll show you what I've got.
I wonder what rich people do at night. The answer's probably not sweeping.
Have you heard what people are saying about Corsac?
That he's recognized my superiority and wants to drop out of the competition?
Not quite. They're saying he single-handedly wrestled a sandworm into submission, then surgically removed its vestigial heart before releasing it back into the wild.
Wow.
There's more. The next day, he stalked a cyclopean hare back to its burrow, where he sung it into a sleep so deep he was able to remove 3 cavity-ridden teeth while it slept. The hare had been attacking travelers, but liberated from tooth decay, it's now docile as could be. In summary, he's strong, he's brave, and he never takes a life unless he has to. He doesn't even pluck a flower unless he can plant 2 seeds to take its place.
Well, that's great. In fact, it gives me an idea. You want to watch the counter while I go wrestle sandworms?
I hope you jest.
Oh, I jest real hard. There's no way I can hunt down my own ingredients.
Perhaps not. But there are avenues you've yet to explore. I wouldn't admit this to just anyone, but I do maintain some of my shadier contacts, including a pair of merchants with wares you can't find anywhere else. And if they happen to sell those wares to an interested consumer directly from the docks, then they are able to avoid Rafta's rather tedious import taxes and pass the savings on to you.
You're talking about smuggling.
Well, they are pirates, darling. You should go and meet them before passing judgment. Look for salt and pepper. I'm sure a clever thing like you will be able to discern who is who. As you can see, I've hit the ground running with my new enterprise. But cash flow is still a minor issue. Care to help me box up a few things for the pawn shop? Unless you'd rather just stand there and gawk.
Wait a minute. Is this my uncle's stuff you're planning to sell?
Whatever gave you that idea?
This broom polo trophy for most combative player has my uncle's name right on it.
Well, now I see where you got your argumentative streak.
Oh, whatever. It's not like I was using any of this. And I don't want to be tripping over Oswald's old junk any more than you do.
I could certainly use a bit more elbow room down here. And yet, I shouldn't like to get too comfortable. It's more than a little embarrassing, you know, running a business out of someone else's basement.
Who cares what people think? If they judge you, it's more a reflection on them.
Bravo, Sylvia! I dare say I agree with you. Although in our line of work, we do have to at least pretend to give a care. After all, the key to a successful sale often comes down to making your customer feel welcome, wanted. Butter them up with a bit of flattery and they'll open their wallets, believe me.
Yeah, I can do that. Although, it's a little bit manipulative, isn't it?
Ah, you're catching on. Who says you can't teach an old slob new tricks?
No one. Literally no one says that.
Regardless, I think you'll agree that such pearls of wisdom are worth a few square feet of basement. Not to mention the access you now have to enchantments. I'm quite skilled at the craft. And I assure you, this time around, the services I'm offering are legitimate.
Why weren't you using these skills to begin with?
Frankly, the margins on potion making are better. Enchanting requires a plethora of ingredients, usually rare ones. Whereas when you're making potions, you can simply throw any number of things into a pot.
That might be true if you're making a fake potion. The real thing is more complicated than that.
Sure, you know the difference. The average consumer, not so much. In fact, it's thanks to my talent for enchanting that I was able to fool so many for so long. My potions were a little more than water and dyes, but the bottles they came in, oh, that's where the real magic was all along. So just imagine the results you could get combining my skills with your own. But go on, imagine it. I'll wait.
You've won me over, hottie. I confess I'm feeling enchanted already.
You know, if you wanted to flatter me, you might have tried throwing our match. Now focus, please. My eyes are up here. It occurs to me that despite my better judgment for the time being, we're in this together. As long as I'm operating out of your basement, I will benefit from your success, and vice versa. So let's put all the nastiness away and try to get along, shall we?
Yeah, I was never really all that nasty, though, was I?
Dear thing, if this arrangement is to have any chance of working, you really must stop setting up such tantalizing put-downs. Business is booming, Sylvia. So much so that this little supply run has proven necessary. I'm perilously low on gemstones, so keep an eye out for all that glitters. There! Success! I should have everything I need. He even threw in a free pair of earrings. I'll have to remove the casing, but the stones will be of use.
How did you do that? He warmed up faster than ramen on a fire rune.
I only turned on the charm a little, batted my lashes, laughed at his jokes. It works every time, whether you're buying or selling.
Okay, I'm not above trying that. And hey, speaking of flattery, I gotta say, I'm impressed. You're doing good work, Roxanne. Glad it's paying off.
Yes, I've made strides in a short time. And to think, I've done it all on my own.
Well, I'm sort of helping, right? I mean, I'm not charging you rent or anything.
Bravo, Sylvia. I like a woman who seeks credit where credit is due. As for allowing me to stay in your cramped roach den after you dismantled my livelihood, well, I'm sure your medal is in the mail.
Fair enough. So, what's next for you? You gotta seize on your momentum, right? Have you thought about advertising?
Oh no, I'm afraid that would be a grave mistake. This little operation of mine isn't entirely legal, after all.
Wait, what? Roxanne, you told me you were going legit.
I told you I was making use of my legitimate talents, and that's true. But this town and all its rules, it's positively tedious to do anything by the book. It's no wonder I became a con artist. And you know, I've run some pretty marvelous rackets over the years.
The potions con wasn't your first?
Oh, far from it. I cut my teeth several years ago on a pyramid scheme. A literal pyramid scheme, mind you. We claimed to be erecting one in the heart of the capital city. Investors were lining up. When that racket got too hot, I set up in another town and read fortunes for a while. I traced the lines of my clients' palms, pouring honey in their ears, while helping myself to the contents of their pockets. I'm quite dexterous with the tale, you know. By the time anyone caught on, I'd moved on to card games, counterfeiting, even a bit of light blackmail to keep things interesting.
I'm gonna have a heart attack. You're some kind of criminal mastermind.
Why, thank you. But I'm telling you, Sylvia, I've reformed. I'm barely doing anything wrong this time. However, to operate a business in this town, you're required to secure a business license.
I know all about it. It's not really such a hassle.
Easy for you to say. You were able to take the shortcut. Anyone with a degree from an accredited college is automatically issued a license to operate a business here. It's all part of some initiative to attract so-called talented people to Rafta. Everyone knows you recently obtained your degree. You tend to bring it up every 5 minutes.
I'm not sure that's true.
Whereas I never had that particular opportunity.
All right, so the shortcut isn't an option for you. What's the normal procedure like?
Well, I'd have to pay a fee, submit some paperwork, and pass an exam of some sort.
Is that all? That doesn't sound so bad.
Are you certain? It all sounds perfectly tedious to me. Anyway, what's the point? If I get caught cutting corners, I'll just move on to the next racket.
I don't want you to leave, Roxanne. I'm beginning to enjoy your company.
I knew you'd get attached, but so quickly? You have a point, though. It would be interesting to see what might develop in my life if I weren't forced to pull up stakes and move on every few months. All right, I'll do it. I'll get my license, and I'll look good doing it.
I should probably warn you, nobody looks good in their license photo.
Nonsense. The trick is to elongate your neck, smile with your eyes, and threaten the photographer with bodily harm. Now this is what I needed. A break from the shop and from the endless demands of customers. An opportunity to be pampered again. Why don't you join me for a manicure?
I'm not sure I see the point when we both wear gloves all day.
Ah, but that's the thing, Sylvia. We aren't doing this for other people. This is just for us. I asked for the Glitzkrieg treatment. Gold plating, embedded gemstones, and nails sharpened to a deadly point.
Wow, that is a lot.
Oh, this is nothing. Just wait until you see the pedicure I get tomorrow.
Tomorrow? You must really be rolling in dough.
If a life of uncertain fortunes has taught me anything, it's to spend it while you've got it. And I might not have it for long. I've got my eye on an upcoming pirate jamboree. The cover charge is extravagant, but stealing from other partygoers is encouraged, so who knows? I might come out ahead in the end.
Sounds pretty intense.
There's truly no party like a pirate party. They tend to be dark and claustrophobic, and the more bodies you cram on board, the hotter it gets. It's like a little slice of the underworld on the high seas. The only problem is I'll need someone to mind the shop while I'm away.
While you're away, how long is this party exactly?
Oh, it's impossible to predict. They can run for weeks.
Weeks? You can't just leave your business behind for that long. You'll lose all your customers. You'd have to start over from scratch. And don't you have an exam coming up? You're supposed to be getting your business license.
Maybe I've changed my mind. Maybe I'm not cut out for staying in one place.
Resisting temptation is a sign of strength. Consider this a test of your commitment.
A test, is it? I do have a bit of a competitive streak, you may have noticed.
Oh, I've noticed.
I suppose I've got something to prove, and I can best do it by maintaining and exceeding my current level of success. Even if it comes at the expense of a party or two. And since you're one of these customers I'm supposed to be bending over backward for, here you go. A coupon just for you.
Consider me a satisfied customer.
Think nothing of it. But I should head home now. I have responsibilities, after all.
Responsibility looks good on you. I'm sort of into it.
Don't get too used to it. I'm hoping it's just a phase. Besides, there will be other parties. Play your cards right, and maybe next time, I'll bring you along.
Wow! It's hot down here.
You flirty thing, you.
No, I mean it. It's sweltering.
There was a frost enchantment keeping the lava's heat in check. I deactivated it, then threw on some kindling for good measure. I like the heat. Like most demons, I grew up underground.
Just be careful not to burn the place down, please.
I suppose I can avoid that, but it's hardly fair that you keep amending the terms of our arrangement.
I think don't set my house on fire is a pretty reasonable request.
You're right. Of course you're right. Oh, truly, Sylvia, you are a font of wisdom without equal.
And you're laying it on a little thick.
Sometimes pandering is the best way to steer a conversation in your favor. Dignity be damned.
Who has time for dignity anyway?
Wield the power responsibly, dear protégé. Now, as toasty as it is in here, I find myself in need of more kindling. Care to come along? Here we are. There's bound to be abundant driftwood along the shore.
I assumed we'd be buying kindling from a vendor. I know this one druid.
There are some things you must do yourself.
Was that a spell?
It's a ritual, but not a magical one. I don't mean to be secretive, but I tend to be private about my heritage. You could say I'm still working out exactly what it means to be a demon living on the surface. Suffice to say, there's a ritualistic significance to the gathering of fuel for the hearth. So please keep your eye out for more driftwood, but allow me to carry it all myself.
Whatever you say. I want to respect your traditions.
Particularly the traditions that save you from manual labor, I'm only teasing. I appreciate you taking this seriously. And every demon carries their own kindling during the week of 1,000 pyres.
I'm not familiar with the Week of 1,000 Pyres.
It's a time of great importance to my people. You see, demons didn't always live below ground. Long ago, we called the surface home, until generations of conflict finally forced my ancestors to flee their homes. They left everything behind and undertook a great migration. But still, that wasn't enough to satisfy their oppressors. The exiles were pursued by their enemies. Ultimately, they were backed against a mountain range. Things looked dire. Lighting pyres for their fallen, the exiles despaired for the future of demonkind. Then, in the light of those many pyres, something was illuminated in the seemingly endless rock of the mountains. It was a cavern that led to a vast network of underground tunnels. More than that, it was salvation. We've lived underground ever since, and 1 week each year we keep our hearths blazing in memory of those who came before.
That's a beautiful story, but so sad. I can't believe I've never heard it before.
They say history is written by the victors, but I've found survivors tell the more compelling tales. Thank you for allowing me to share mine. I'm far from home, Sylvia. To my knowledge, I'm the only demon on this entire landmass. It's not in my nature to feel lonely. But when demonic holidays like this roll around, I think of the people I've left behind. I think of my family. And I'm glad not to be entirely alone here.
Let me know if your nights get lonely. we might find other ways to keep you warm.
Dear girl, I'm not sure you could handle the heat. Thanks all the same. I'm not sure I realized how much this particular holiday meant to me until just now. It's not altogether irritating to be sharing it with you. I've earned a treat. I think you've earned one too.
I do like ice cream.
Then you shall have it, darling. Just let me do the talking.
What was that?
That was the performance of a lifetime. And if you haven't yet tried the emotional minefield technique, you very much should.
I'll practice it. But first, ice cream. What's on your mind?
Oh, just mulling over some of my recent accomplishments. As of this morning, I've submitted all the paperwork and fees required for my business license. Now all that remains is to schedule my exam.
I've heard that test is pretty tough.
To which I say, bring it on. If I feared a challenge, I never would have ended up here.
How did you end up here? I don't think you've ever said.
It wasn't because of any inheritance, I can tell you that much. As a girl, I had an insatiable interest in the surface world, inspired by the bits of debris that made their way down from the human cities above. Empty flasks and loose change, bootlaces and hair ribbons, I'd pore over all of it. But my favorites were the magazines. They were full of images of beautiful women living lives of glamour and luxury. They made it all seem so very attainable. And though there were no demons pictured in those perfumed pages, well, my powers of illusion were second to none. So I decided to ascend. I left a note for my parents and took off into the night. But the surface world was not what I had expected. Those with more money than they could ever need can use their money as a sort of lure, trapping others in an endless cycle of toil, hope, and obligation, all while increasing their own wealth naturally. Faster than I would have thought possible, I went from having nothing to having less than nothing. I was in debt, deep, dangerous, demoralizing debt, and I realized I always would be. So long as I continued to play by the rules of rich men.
Wow, Roxanne, I had no idea.
Yes, generally I prefer it that way. But something about you makes me want to come clean. It's probably your big bovine eyes. Anyway, now you know how I ended up running cons on the streets of Rafta.
I've had it easy by comparison. It's easy to lose sight of that. Particularly when my inheritance has been both a windfall and an albatross.
I suppose we both had to learn that if something seems too good to be true, it probably is.
You're every bit as good as advertised, I bet.
Well, I certainly haven't received any complaints yet.
I have a minor complaint, actually. You haven't touched your ice cream, and now it's all melted.
Oh, good. This is how I prefer it, you see. Ice cream headaches are my greatest vulnerability.
Wow. We must really be friends if you're telling me your weaknesses.
Weakness, singular. You're welcome to look for more than one, but I don't like your odds, dear.
Say, your lips look extra glossy today.
I just touched up my makeup a minute ago, It pays to put in the effort to look your best. If only because it can provide a surge of self-confidence.
I can make an effort. But don't tell me you need more confidence.
Generally, no. Although I've been doing some soul-searching of late. Terribly inconvenient stuff, soul-searching. It started when I ran into someone on the street.
An old friend?
An old Mark. A man I fleeced for quite a bit of gold over the last few months. He spotted me through the crowd. He approached. I was sure he intended to cause a scene, perhaps demand his money back. Instead, he tried to give me money. He told me he'd missed my potions. He offered me a goodly sum for a fresh dose of my anti-baldness elixir.
Okay, that is definitely not a potion that exists.
I know that, and you know that. He'd never figured it out. And my first thought was, easy money, right? But something happened. As I stood there, staring at the man's trusting eyes and swiftly receding hairline, I imagined our roles were reversed. I felt empathy.
So you told him the truth?
Oh, heavens no! I told him I was late for my charity work at a home for plucky, soot-covered orphans, and I beat a hasty retreat. But I didn't take his money. I think perhaps that's due to your influence. And I suppose I just wanted to tell you. That is, I thought you should know.
Yes?
That if not for this ridiculous moral code, I'd have extra money with which to pay you rent.
Dang. Is it too late to go back and fleece the guy?
That opportunity, like the man's bangs, is lost forever. Now let's get out of here for a spell. I'm in the mood for a change of scenery. Such a strange place, the forest. It's so open.
And no one to interrupt us. We could do pretty much anything we wanted.
You're full of surprises, aren't you? Starting with the moment you bested me in that competition. When I first saw you, I sized you up immediately. I pegged you for a spoiled little girl who'd never had to fight or scrape for anything in her life. And I was certain you'd be easy prey. I'm not too proud to admit I was wrong. Wrong on all counts. You're a fighter, Sylvia. You're every bit the fighter I am.
Thank you for acknowledging that. And you're right. I'm tough as nails and twice as sharp.
There, see? You don't even need the compliment. I can get out of the way if you want to pat yourself on the back. My point is this. We have common ground, and a lot of it. I thought that made us enemies. Then I thought it made us allies. But we're more even than just allies, aren't we? Sylvia, I've noticed your rather adorable attempts at catching my eye. And I find myself thinking that we might have fun together. But I have to ask, do you think you can handle all this?
Oh, I can handle it. In fact, I'd really like to.
Oh, you thirsty thing. Very well, I'm game. The buttoned-up ones always end up being the most fun. But if we're going to date, I need you to know something. As you may have guessed, I'm quite comfortable in my own skin. Typically, I can separate the physical and emotional aspects of coupling. That may not be so easy in this case. You mean a great deal to me, Sylvia. I fear I may get attached.
Is that really something to fear?
Maybe, but I'm not really the sort to let fear get in my way.
That's one of the many things I like about you.
Oh, I could grow to enjoy this. Tell me what else you like about me, Sylvia, and please, do be thorough. I need to work off some steam, and yoga isn't cutting it today. Not even hot yoga with baby goats.
Can I help somehow?
Just seeing your face helps. It's quite a lovely face. Unfortunately, I suspect my frustrations will return as soon as you depart. That's why I asked you out here for a bit of therapy.
Wait, where did that come from?
Oh, I have weapons stashed all over town. Perhaps that's a haggling tip you can try.
It's not at all relevant to haggling.
Oh, fine. Here's a coupon instead.
That works. Thanks.
Now, shall we? Fun, isn't it? I call it smash and gab. Maybe it could be my next business, after this enchanting lark falls apart.
Always smart to have a plan B. You never know what's gonna happen.
Precisely. And I've always had a get-out-of-town bag packed and ready if things go south.
I thought business was good and you were on track to get your license. Did something change? We smashed. Now gab.
If you insist. It's just that I have this exam coming up. It's the final hurdle in securing my business license. So I took a practice exam. It came back with so much red it looked like a murder scene. I'd like to say it's because I was distracted by daydreams of that face of yours. But that's not true. I thought I'd done just fine.
There's no shame in it. That's the whole point of a practice exam. It just means you have to hit the books.
Oh, I tried that. I also tried biting, scratching, and kicking the books.
You know what I meant. You need to study.
But that's absurd. I know all of this already. I'm running a profitable business. Why in the world should I have to study then for a test about how to run a business?
Because there's a difference between practical knowledge and book smarts. The former might be enough to do the work. But if you want your license, you have to prove you have the latter, too.
So let me get this straight. It's not enough that I've shelled out my hard-earned money and filled out their little forms. I'm also expected to parrot their little trivia back at them. All to earn the approval to do the work that I'm already doing. That is quite a scam, and I would know.
That's the system we're stuck with, for better or worse. The business world definitely has its own set of rules. Just think of it like a game.
A game? But you know if I play a game, then I play to win.
Exactly. I know you'll do whatever it takes. Even if it means spending hours memorizing trivia.
I know when a gauntlet's been thrown down. Very well. I'm going to crush this exam, Sylvia. I'll do whatever it takes. But first, I'm going to find a new hiding spot for this sledgehammer. I have a feeling I'll be needing it again soon.
All set for our study session? I've got the flashcards.
And I've got the snacks. Although I'm afraid you'll have to sign a waiver first. Some of these snack peppers are hot enough to scald your tongue.
I can handle you, can't I? I'm obviously not afraid of getting burned.
Sylvia, you're speaking my language at last.
Unfortunately, we've got to get you ready for that exam. And studying tends to kill the mood.
Does it? Because that sounds like a challenge to me.
Not that I'm complaining, but I'm not sure this is how studying works.
Sure it is. Why do you think they're called flashcards? Besides, I don't really need to study. This was just a ploy to get you alone. I already know I'm going to ace this exam. There's no doubt about that.
Well, that's a bit ominous.
I've had enough, Sylvia. For too long have I languished on the surface world, shackled by the rules of polite society. Your tender affections have made this place bearable, but still, I suffered. Oh, have I suffered. Now, at last, I have the upper hand.
I forgot how much you enjoyed playing the villain.
It's positively thrilling. But I'm not just role-playing here. I've got gossip. Hot, juicy, damaging gossip. The sort a person might pay to make go away.
Wait. You're talking about...
Blackmail.
Is this about my snoring? Because I'm not that embarrassed.
Dear thing, no. I wouldn't dream of fleecing you. I mean, what would I even get out of you? Loose change and pocket lint?
Ha.
Listen, I didn't go looking for trouble. Not this time. But I was naturally curious about the identity of the man who will be proctoring my exam. I thought I'd wear his favorite perfume, perhaps, or the colors of his favorite sports team. Just a little something to nudge his perception of me in a positive direction.
I'm not sure that would help with a totally objective multiple-choice test, but okay.
Imagine my surprise, however, when I realized I recognized the man. I'd seen him once before. Among the revelers at a pirate jamboree.
He must have made quite an impression.
You could say that. He was thrown overboard midway through the party, in fact, after he was caught pawing through a litter box. Some people claimed he'd simply dropped his keys. Others believed he was deep in his cups and looking for buried doubloons. The outcome was the same. His actions were declared an irredeemable party foul, and he was forced to walk the plank before he could stink up the place. I photoglyphed the whole thing, and I can't imagine he'd want those images to be posted anywhere. All this to say, I have a trump card, and now I only have to decide whether to use it.
You're better than this, Roxanne. Blackmail is cheating, and you're brilliant. So why resort to cheating?
Well, the flattery is welcome. As for the moralizing, curse it. If I'm honest, I was hoping you'd hate this plan. Lately, I've grown increasingly uncomfortable with shortcuts. That's due in no small part to your influence. More than once, when faced with a moral conundrum, I've found myself asking, what would Sylvia think?
It sounds like you're developing a conscience. You know the right thing to do. It's just easier for you to do it when you can blame it on me.
A conscience and a psychoanalyst all in one, eh? You're a perfectly rotten influence, Sylvia.
And by that you mean I'm a good influence.
Call it what you like. It's aggravating. You have such an innocent demeanor, but you certainly know how to deploy your charm to get what you want. Turn that magnetic sway onto your customers. I think you'll like the results.
Thanks. Now, should we get back to studying?
Perhaps later. I have some machinations to ponder. And it's much easier to be wicked when you're not around.
Roxanne is struggling to walk the straight and narrow. I should find a way to show support for her new lease on life.
Sylvia, I must tell you, your gift put a smile on my face. As a former potion maker, I know valuable tonics when I see them.
I wanted to make a gesture. I know you're probably not going to the radioactive wastelands anytime soon. But now you could if you wanted to, and that was sort of my point. Your future is wide open, Roxanne, even if you have to struggle through a bit of red tape to reach it.
And on that subject, you're here just in time for a bit of celebration.
What are we celebrating? Did you get some good news?
I don't know that I'd call it news. Rafta's business bureau merely confirmed, in the form of a graded exam, that I am a brilliant businesswoman with a prosperous career ahead of me.
You did it! You got it!
Oh, I've got it all right. My business license is printed, certified, and being framed as we speak. I sprung for the diamond inlaid frame because there's a time and place for subtlety, and this is not it.
Roxanne, this is amazing! Congratulations! I knew you could do it, and without resorting to blackmail. You didn't resort to blackmail, right?
Sylvia, I find your lack of faith strangely gratifying, actually. I guess I've still got a bit of the bad girl swagger, if you have to ask me that. But no. I suppose I realize there's something more satisfying than having power over someone.
The satisfaction of a job well done?
The satisfaction of having power over someone and not needing to use or abuse it. Come on, let's move this celebration outdoors. It's funny. As much as I think of enclosed spaces as my natural habitat, I'm finding it increasingly necessary to seek out open spaces, to see the sky. I suppose change happens whether we court it or not.
You've made some big decisions lately, but you're still Roxanne. Still the perky, perfumed wrecking ball who crashed into my shop not so long ago.
It wasn't exactly love at first sight, though, was it? I saw you as a threat, and I was determined to tear you down. To think of the time and effort I wasted over the years, locked in a cycle of pettiness. I had to change, Sylvia. I had to change to find my way to you.
I'm glad you did. I'm glad to see you thriving like this.
I am thriving, aren't I? Not just surviving.
That's a good look on you.
Isn't everything? I don't know what the future will bring, but whatever fate has in store for me, no, forget fate. Whatever I decide to do with my life, I want you there, my love. I want you by my side.
I want that too, Roxanne.
Don't tell me, Sylvia. Show me. Show me how you really feel. At last! A pirate jamboree. It's been far too long since I've been able to cut loose. Just remember, if things get out of hand, I've got bail money stashed underneath the squeaky floorboard.
Aren't they all the squeaky floorboard?
We'll have to fix that, I suppose. I could even pitch in if you like. Although, perhaps I'm being presumptuous.
You? Never.
Feeling saucy, I'll allow it. But I'm serious. Perhaps you think it's time I got my own place. After all, our situations have changed. I've picked myself up by the bra straps.
Bootstraps? The expression is bootstraps.
And you've taken in some strange old man as an apprentice, even though he seems to have disposed of your pet bird.
No, I keep telling you, the bird was my uncle the whole time.
And then there's the matter of our romantic entanglement.
Ooh, I like that word. Entanglement. It makes me think of your tail.
The tail does come in handy, doesn't it? But my point is, I would understand if you want your space.
Come on, Roxanne. You know I like to keep you close.
And on that front, you'll have no complaints from me. I suppose I'll stay put then, for the compliments, if nothing else.
Or maybe you're sticking around because we've got a good thing going. I mean, we're both on the upswing, right? Why mess with success?
You've got a good point. And it reminds me, I have a confession to make. I'm not at this jamboree strictly to party. I've actually been hired on to do some enchanting. Seems the pirates want to add some sparkle to their ship, and they've also asked me to do something about the litter odor. But don't worry, glamour and debauchery await us. After the work is done to my satisfaction.
Look at you! So responsible.
What can I say? Success suits me. It suits you too. If I couldn't bring home that grand prize, I'm glad it was you.
I'm also glad it was me. And I'll always be grateful that our story didn't end with us as enemies.
Agreed. I may have lost our contest, yet I can't help feeling like a winner in every way that matters.